Welcome. This is part of a marketing investment module. What I'll do is I will show you how to get financial information. The first thing that we want to do is we want to get an annual report for a company. In this case, we're going to use the example of United Health, which is one of the companies that students have picked this semester. So what I will do is I will type on Google United Health 2023 and then annual report. When I do this, I will see a number of statements, and I always want to go to the one from the company, not from commercial statements. So I see that this one has a 2023 results. That looks tempting. Let's click here. But when I go, I will see that these are only 13 pages. So it's not really what I'm looking for, the annual report. I'm going to save it anyways. And I'm going to put this number for Q24 release. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to look for something which has more pages than 13 pages. Maybe if I go here, this is what we learned in class, right? Which is the section for investors. You see it there. So I'll click here. And then this is the right page, annual reports and proxy statements. But when I click here, I see that they haven't released the one for 2023 yet. We're in 2024. Today is January 27, but it doesn't matter. I need the numbers for the full year. So I'm going to click on this one, which says annual report, and download this that I have for the full year. It's important to have numbers for a full year. So let me download this form. And I will call it Annual Report in 2022. So now I have the annual report for 2022, and I'll go to it. And what I will want to try to do is I want to find out information about their investments in marketing. So I double click on it. And then what I want to do is I want to do Control F to find information. And I want to click on the word advertising to see if I get anything. So I have one there, but no numbers. And that's all I have. So no match. Let me try with the word marketing. And I have this one, but no numbers. That one about consumer protection, not much. Let's go here. No. No. So if this was a consumer product company, we would have seen a detailed description of investments on marketing that they do. But because you're on healthcare, we don't have that. So we will try another tool. We're going to go to Statista, which is a good way to search for information because the information that they get is quite good. So what I want to do is, hold on, sorry. Before going into Statista, let's go to the Wall Street Journal because it's going to get us good information that is comparable. So we're going to type WSJ and then the name of the company. In our case will be United Healthcare. And then financial statements. This can be done for any company that trades in the United States and some foreign countries. So when you do research about the competitors of United Healthcare, you will just replace the word United Healthcare with that of the competitor. So I press enter and I am going right to the Wall Street Journal and that report. You don't need a subscription, but if you are a university student in the US, you get access to the Wall Street Journal for free, at least at New York University and other universities. I encourage you guys to take advantage of that. It's worth hundreds of dollars. So I click here. I don't need to be subscribed. And then I look for the section called financials, and then for income statement. And now I have all the ratios for the income statements for the last 5 years on an annual basis, which is what I like. Now, what I'll do next is I'm going to, they don't give me the option of, get it in Excel. So I will go and select all these. Do Control-C for control copy if you use Excel on a Windows. And then what I'll do is I will create a new table in Excel to have this information. So I'll go blank workbook, Control-V. I will unwrap the text, and then I will expand this column, which is what I want. Now, what I want to know, what I want to highlight, what I want to remember is the revenue and their net income, which is right here. In this case, there are 40 rows of information. I wish I could have the advertising expense, which will be somewhere in here, but they don't disclose it as such. So let's look now at how we can find information from Statista. And what we could do is we could write United Health, spend advertising, Statista. When we do that, we will get a number of reports. This one could be one, and then there are more reports here. This could be good because it will show us all the reports that they have. So I will click on here, and then it will show me all the reports that it has. Now, if you were to click on any of these reports, it will tell you that you have to go, you have to have a premium account to log in. So what we are going to do is we're going to copy all this, the title to get back there. And then if you remember on session 1, I show you how to click on a direct link to the data from the New York University Library. And so if you go to that slide number 26, you will click on here. Then you will scroll down to Statista. You will click here. You will log in into your NYU account. And then you will get to the Statista page. And here we will just type or we'll copy that search that we did. And now we have access to all those companies. So let's click on this one as an example. And now we can download in PPT or in Excel or in PowerPoint and so on, all this data that we have. So now let's think about it. What this is saying is that the marketing spending, the advertising spending was about $336 million. And let's see what else we can get from United Health. I will go back and I will type United Health. United Health Group. And I will see all the information that is available. I'm looking now for information regarding marketing, right? But revenues will be also interesting to download. Financial reports maybe, and the market share definitely it is. Let's look into that. So they have a market share of 12%, and this is the market share of the others. This one I want to download. The beauty of doing it on Excel is that you get all the data. When you do it on the PowerPoint, you will just show the chart, but not all the data. So I typically do both. And with that, we have learned how to gather information from Statista. Hello, let's look now at how to get information on market share from Passport or Euromonitor. Going back to session 1, to the slide on how to find financial information, you can click here. That'll be the direct link. And then you will go directly, if you're already logged in, into their page. Now, I'm going to start with Delta Airlines, the other company that students have picked, and see what I get. So it's telling me to search like this, so I will. And now it's giving me a number of reports that are available and brand shares and so on. If I click on the one for full service carriers in North America, I can see the market share for Delta for the last 6 years, which is quite good. So it seems to have declined. Now, I want to get into all the airlines for that. So I'm going to type that name. Control copy. I'm going to go back to search. And then I will click on the report, click on go. And yeah, let's look into the company shares. And I see it again. Right now, it appears now that American is the #1, has a big, largest market share, which I wouldn't have thought. But in any case, so this is the way to access all this marketing information, which will be quite good for your presentation for your company. Let's discuss now how we can calculate payback for your marketing plan. If you Google payback, you'll get revenge, and revenge is not what we are looking for in this case. What we want to know in terms of payback is how long does it take to recover an investment? And for that, to calculate the payback time, we will need to know the investment that we're making, how much, and how much are we going to save or make per year. It's that easy. So for example, if we make an investment of $1 million or $1,000 and we save $500, 1,000 divided by 500, that will give us a 2 years payback. Now, one of the major things that I encourage everyone to do is to check the facts first. Most of the time, folks spend a lot of time making very nice PowerPoints, but the facts are grossly incorrect. So they have their sales or their advertising so wrong that when they show the first slide, they lose credibility. So what I would recommend that you do is that you look for those facts first. And what you want to get is how much are you going to invest, how much are you going to grow your incremental net sales, and what is the gross profit margin for your product or idea. So to get the marketing or advertising investment, what we could do, what we should do, I would argue, is to download the annual report. Let's do it together and see what happens. So if I go to Google and I put Procter & Gamble annual report, let's say 2020, I'll get different, search results. I want to scroll down to the one from the company, not to other sites. And I'll click here. And then I'll scroll down to 2020. Then I will click annual report. And then I will download it. Now, I've done this for you already. So when you go to the students folder, you will have the different annual reports for 2020, 2019, and 2021. So I have the annual reports. Now, the next thing that I would like to do is to try to establish, based on that, how much are their advertising expenses. And the next thing that I want to look at is their cost and then their sales growth. So once I have downloaded all the reports, what I'll be able to do is to go and create a small template to be able to see all these financials. Now, take a look at this one. On these ones, what we have is the sales and advertising and gross margin for the last 5 years, right? And let's say that our base case is going to be 2019. So I'm saying that when I look at the numbers, I've noticed that Procter & Gamble has increased their investment in advertising. It used to be 10%, and now it went up to 10.3% and 10.8%. But you also see that their sales grew and that their gross margin has increased as well. So how can I tell whether the investment paid off? Well, one of the main things that you need to look at is that the number for advertising expense, you won't find it directly on the P&L from the Wall Street Journal or on a normal P&L. I'm going to show you what the numbers from the Wall Street Journal look like. And if you see here, you will have sales, you will have net income, but you will not have the advertising expense. Now, what you could do is you could go to the annual report. Let's use, if you want, 2020. And we want to do Control F and then search for advertising. And that will tell us every time the word advertising shows up, which will be many. So while this is thinking to save us a bit of time, I can show you that I've done that and I have copied that into our P&L. And we can see here the advertising expense for the last 5 years. So it's 7.326, 7.51, and so on. So those numbers I have plugged right here in each one of the years. And now I can see as a percentage of sales what my advertising is. The gross margin, that one I can get from the individual years, or I can just use, in this case, the number for 2022 going backwards. And with that will be good enough to calculate that. Now, what you want to do, though, as the most important step, is you want to look at your marginal net sales. So you don't want to look at all the sales. You want to say, my sales went from 67 to, for example, 70.950. So my growth in sales was only the difference between this number and that number. But there is something else to that story. And that is that maybe the sales grew just because of a price increase or just because we bought a company. So to exclude the impact of acquisitions, companies use something called organic sales, and that will be without M&As. But the other thing that we could do to exclude pricing is to look at the volume growth. And in the last 2 or 3 years, the volume growth has been critical because many times companies are increasing sales just because they're increasing prices, and we cannot see whether consumers continue buying their products or not. So the way to find that is we will go here and then we will do Control F and we will click on volume. And we will see, well, there are 81 times where the word volume is mentioned, so you will have to scroll through that. But if you look into these ones, right, this one is the overall for the whole company. And what you see here is that sales increased by 4% in volume terms for the whole company. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my template that I'm using for this. And I'm going to take the sales for the previous year, which will be, in this case, 2020. And I'm going to multiply that by the ratio for volume growth, which was 4% in 2020 and 3% in 2021. To find the one for 2021, I did the exact same process that you saw before for 2020. So now I know how much my sales have grown due to the volume, which is what we could argue is something that was driven by marketing expenses or advertising and so on. And with that, I will go to my template and I will say my incremental sales were 2.7 million. which I get from right here, the volume growth. And then I'm going to look at the growth in my advertising investment. So if you think about it, in 2019, I was investing 6.7 million, and then in 2020, 7.3 million. So the difference between these 2 years, or the delta, I'll do it here so you can see it, is $575,000. So on my template for Payback, I'm going to put that number, and I'm going to say I invested $575,000, and then my gross margin on this incremental net sales was 1.290. So if you think about it, right, I invested about $600,000, and it took me about half a year, right? I made 1.3 million per year, or if you want to be precise, 5.3 months to recover this investment. And that is what I will put on my results to justify this increase. Now let's play with this template so you can see how it works. First, let's see what happens if I make an investment for $500,000 and my incremental sales are $1 million per year, and my gross margin is 50%. In that case, I make $500,000 and I recover the investment. So at the end of the first year, I am at zero. I have fully recovered. Now, if my investment is for $1 million and I'm making $500,000 per year, then it will take me 24 months to recover that. If my investment is for $2 million, then it will take me 4 years to get to zero. And if it's 2,500, it will take me 5 years to get back to zero. This is a template that is saved for you guys. You just need to enter the numbers. Please don't change it, because if not, the students who come after you will get your numbers and the formulas that you have modified. So the best is to just download it into your laptop. Now, once you have the numbers that you have calculated, what you will have to do, or what you can do, is you will just do Control Copy, and then you will go to the template that you're going to submit. You can do Control V for this, and then you will say in this case that the investment was $2,500, and you were making 500 per year, so it took you 5 years to recover the investment. And then you can add here on the bullets the different points that you want to make. So here's other thoughts that I would like you to have when you think about your return on investment. Remember not to look at the total net sales. You only need to look at the marginal net sales. And remember to look at the real driver, excluding other factors. Volume growth for a company like Procter & Gamble, Unilever, Nestle is the same, is the best choice to go about it. You can get the marketing spending if you don't want to go through the annual report, or if you cannot find them from Statista. So the first step is to research clearly what is a marketing investment, as I just did. And then if you're going to launch a new product, what you will want to do is to invest more in advertising. So imagine that instead of investing 10%, which is a lot what P&G does, P&G was to allocate 3%. So you could argue the first year I will invest 15%. Now, what I would recommend you to do is to try to find what your company invests in a project like yours. In general, marketing campaigns should have a payback of about 1 year. Now, if you do a product launch or an extension, you may have a payback of 3 years. If you do something else, like buying a company or creating a new manufacturing facility, those are used or are analyzed using something called a net present value, which we will learn in session 11, but they are not going to have a payback of 1 or 3 years. The paybacks are going to be much longer. So this is in the case that we're doing an investment in marketing only. The second thing is remember to calculate the incremental net sales and do a sense check. You can go to the Wall Street Journal and see the sales for the last 5 years for the company that you have in mind. If they have been growing by 7% per year, it's unlikely that they're going to grow by 80%. Then remember to account for cannibalization. Say that you're launching dulce de leche at Häagen-Dazs. Well, when a consumer goes to buy ice cream, will he get or she get the chocolate and the dulce de leche, or she will get the dulce de leche but not the chocolate? If that is the case, your incremental sales are 0 because you're selling dulce de leche, but you're not selling chocolate anymore. So you want to make sure that you account for cannibalization. And then we have here the example of adjusting the net sales growth by things like currency and acquisitions and so on. And that is the example that we discussed. Finally, what do you do if you don't know how much the product that you want to launch is going to cost? What I would suggest that you do is that you use the gross profit margin for the entire company. What you could argue, if the cost is going to be higher in the beginning, is that then you will sell more units, and so the cost will go down to the overall target for the company. If you think that your cost is going to be much lower than the overall margin for the company, then you'll have to come up with a detailed analysis to prove that. One of the major errors, or the most common errors that I see lately, is that everyone is doing an app, and yet no one has taken the time to analyze how much does it cost to make an app. So you got to quantify that, and as a hint, it's expensive. And then finally, I'm following the same thought. When you start a project, you may be better off using third-party manufacturing or consulting services and so on, because you don't want to build a factory unless you know that the consumers are going to buy the product that you want to invest in marketing. I hope this is useful, and I'll have more videos on this topic later on. We've seen how to get information, marketing, and financial from a number of sources. What I would like to ask you now is, what else have you found in terms of good places to find information? And the best way to go about it is if you could scan this QR code, and it will take you to the page for the class, which is right here, or if you start from scratch, is wp.nyu.edu.speakers. And then when you go to discussions, the first topic that you will find is how would you find information to justify a marketing investment and payback. Now, there are other comments that you will see on these discussions. The why did you buy this product, which is related to the marketing investment for other companies. This one is very popular on why 79% of contractors don't want to be full-time employees, and other discussions which we will not have time to discuss during the executive master, but we will be able to discuss during the other class, the finance class. So you will simply click here, and then you can leave your reply. The idea with this is for you to be able to share with others how did you do it and what kind of good information you found. That way others can benefit from it as well.